Sometimes the wilderness isn't just a place, it's a feeling. It's the silence after loss, the fear before change, and the courage it takes to step forward when the path ahead is uncertain. In Heartland's newest chapter, Braving the Wilderness, we're not just returning to the ranch, we're stepping into the unknown right beside Amy and her family, where every choice could change what Heartland means forever. Asterisk, the wind moves across the open fields of Hudson, carrying stories only the Heartland Ranch can tell. Morning light spills over the mountains, and the sound of hooves fills the air. Steady, familiar, yet filled with something new. There's peace here, but it's fragile. Change has been knocking at the door for a while now, and in episode 4, that change feels closer than ever. Season 19 has already reminded us why. Heartland continues to touch hearts across generations. It's not just about horses or the land, it's about the people who call it home. It's about the pain of letting go, the strength it takes to rebuild, and the quiet moments that make life feel worth it. Braving the Wilderness takes those emotions and stretches them across the horizon. We find Amy Fleming standing once again at a crossroads. Since the start of the season, she's been searching not just for direction, but for peace. Her connection to horses has always been her compass, guiding her through grief and change. But this time, the wilderness feels deeper, more uncertain. There's something unspoken pulling her, maybe a new beginning, maybe an old wound that needs healing. Meanwhile, the ranch feels different too. Jack, ever the steady heartbeat of Heartland, senses the shift in the air. He's seen seasons change before, the good, the painful, the ones that test your spirit. But something about this one feels heavier. His quiet wisdom will once again be the anchor when storms begin to rise. Lou, on the other hand, is facing her own storm, torn between her responsibilities as mayor, and the family that always needs her grounding presence. This is where Braving the Wilderness begins to unfold, not in sudden drama, but in the quiet tension that lives between heartbeats. The wilderness isn't just the forest or the open fields beyond the ranch. It's the space between who these characters were and who they're becoming. It's the loneliness that comes with growth, the uncertainty of change, and the courage it takes to keep going. The episode's title says it all, Braving the Wilderness. It's not about surviving it. It's about facing it with open eyes and an open heart. In Heartland, every sunrise feels like a promise, and every sunset a reminder that even endings can be beautiful. This episode invites us to walk alongside these characters once again, to feel what they feel, to see what they see, and to remember that even in the wildest moments, love still leads the way as the sun dips behind the mountains and the day fades into twilight. We're reminded that the wilderness has always been a part of Heartland's story. But this time, it's different. This time, it's not just about finding your way home. It's about discovering what home really means. The last time we left Heartland, the air around the ranch felt heavy, not from storm clouds, but from change. There's a kind of silence that settles over a place when everyone's holding their breath, waiting for something to shift. That's where we were standing, right on the edge of something new. It's uncertain and deeply human. Amy had been carrying more than the weight of her daily work. Beneath the calm of her smile, there was a quiet ache, the kind that lingers long after the world thinks you've moved on. Her bond with the horses remained her escape, but lately, even they seemed to sense her restlessness. She's learning that healing isn't a single moment, it's a journey. And sometimes, the hardest part is realizing that you can't go back to who you were before Jack. The steady rock of Heartland could feel it too. His wisdom comes not from words, but from years of watching life unfold, the way people come and go, the way love can both heal and hurt. He's seen Amy grow through heartbreak, loss, and new beginnings. And though he rarely says it aloud, he knows she's still searching for her footing. In episode 4, his quiet understanding will once again guide her, not through advice, but through presence. Lou, on the other hand, has been pulled in too many directions. Between her role as mayor and her deep love for the ranch, she's caught in the middle of a tug-of-war between ambition and belonging. Her drive to do what's right often clashes with her need to feel close to home. And that conflict might finally come to the surface. Braving the wilderness isn't just Amy's story, it's Lou's too. Because sometimes the wilderness we're braving isn't out there in the wild. It's the one inside us, the confusion, the self-doubt, the moments when we question if we're still on the right path. And then there's the ranch itself, the heart of everything. It's more than land and fences. It's a living, breathing reminder of legacy. The walls have heard laughter, arguments, and whispered promises under starry skies. It's where generations have learned that family isn't perfect, it's persistent. Even when everything feels uncertain, the ranch stands, strong and unshaken. As episode 4 approaches, every character feels the pull of the unknown. The storylines that began earlier in the season are starting to converge. Choices made in quiet moments are about to echo louder than anyone expects. There's an undercurrent of tension running beneath the surface, not explosive, but steady, like the distant rumble of thunder before a storm. Braving the wilderness steps right into that moment when the past and future collide, and every character must decide which way to turn. For Amy, it might mean facing a truth she's avoided. For Lou, it could be redefining what success really means. And for Jack, it's about reminding them, and us, that sometimes courage doesn't look like running into danger. Sometimes it looks like staying still, facing the pain, and trusting that the dawn will come again. The stage is set. The air feels different. The wilderness is calling, not to be feared, but to be faced. And at Heartland, facing it is what they do best. The title alone feels like a heartbeat, braving the wilderness. It's not just about surviving the wild. It's about finding the strength to face what scares us most. Episode 4 steps quietly into that truth. From the very first frame, there's something different in the air. The colors feel colder, the skies wider, and the silence heavier. This isn't the calm before a storm, it's the storm of change already, beginning to whisper through every corner of Heartland. The episode opens not with action, but emotion, a moment of stillness that says more than words ever could. Amy is alone in the early dawn, her breath visible in the cool morning air. A wild horse stands in the distance, untamed and unsure, a mirror of Amy's own heart. The look in her eyes tells us that this isn't just another training session. It's a moment of reflection, of facing the untamed parts of herself she's kept buried. The wilderness she's braving isn't out there, it's within. Meanwhile, Lou's story begins to unfold in parallel, carrying the theme in a different way. She's trying to keep everything together, her duties, her relationships, promises, but the balance she once had feels like it's slipping. The ranch, the town, her family, they all need her, but what happens when there's nothing left for herself? This episode doesn't just show Lou's struggle, it makes us feel it. That quiet exhaustion that comes from giving too much for too long. And then there's Jack, the old cowboy who's seen more winters than anyone else on the ranch, but still carries the spirit of a man who refuses to quit. His storyline in this episode is small, but powerful. Sometimes, it's not the loudest scenes that move us, it's the quiet ones. Jack's wisdom, his connection to the land, and his understanding of loss give this episode its heartbeat. There's a moment, short but unforgettable, where he looks out across the open field and says something simple. Something that stays with you long after the scene fades. It's the kind of line that only Jack Bartlett could deliver. A reminder that bravery doesn't always mean running forward. Sometimes, it means standing still and letting life find you again. The cinematography in Braving the Wilderness feels almost poetic. The Alberta landscape isn't just a backdrop. It's a character in itself. Wide shots of golden fields, horses running through the morning mist, it's a soft glow of lantern light against dark wood. Every frame feels alive. It captures the heart of what makes Heartland so timeless. That blend of nature and emotion, of peace and conflict, of heartbreak and hope. As the episode unfolds, the theme of wilderness expands. It becomes about family, about how distance, change, and time can make even familiar faces feel far away. Every character is braving their own wilderness. And by the time the episode reaches its turning point, we realize that this journey isn't just about survival. It's about rediscovery. By the end of the hour, viewers won't just be watching Heartland, they'll be feeling it. The weight of its silences, the courage in its moments of truth, and the warmth that comes when people choose love even when it hurts. Braving the Wilderness doesn't just tell a story. It reminds us why we fell in love with Heartland in the first place. Because it knows how to find beauty in the struggle and hope in the wild. There's something special about the way Heartland tells its stories, not through noise, but through silence. In Braving the Wilderness, it's the small, quiet moments that speak the loudest. Asterisk. This episode doesn't shout its emotions. It lets them breathe. And through those breaths, we begin to see the true wilderness each character is trying to brave. Amy stands at the center of it all, not because she seeks attention, but because her story has always carried the heart of Heartland. In this episode, she's not the hero taming a horse or fixing what's broken. She's simply human, raw, honest, and searching. There's a moment where she hesitates before reaching out to a wild horse, her hand trembling slightly. It's subtle, but powerful. It isn't fear of the horse, it's fear of what she might feel if she lets herself truly connect again. Ever since loss reshaped her world, she's been strong on the outside, but this time, we see her questioning that strength. We see the cracks, and in those cracks, we see courage. Because bravery doesn't mean not breaking. It means breaking and still choosing to heal. Lou's wilderness feels different. Hers isn't made of open fields or wild horses. It's made of expectations. The mayor, the mother, the sister, the fixer. Every title adds another layer of pressure. And somewhere beneath all that, the real Lou is getting harder to find. In episode 4, we see the cost of that. There's a scene where she sits alone in her office late at night, the papers on her desk glowing under dim light. The camera lingers. No dialogue, just the sound of a ticking clock. You can almost feel the exhaustion in her posture. She's realizing that sometimes being brave means admitting you can't do it all. It's not weakness, it's honesty. And that's something Lou has been avoiding for too long. Then there's Jack, the quiet guardian of the ranch. His wilderness is time itself. He's lived through more seasons than anyone, and each one has taken something from him. But it's also given him wisdom, the kind that doesn't come from books or speeches, but from simply living. In this episode, we see him wrestle with the changes around him, the younger generation stepping forward. The world moving faster than ever. There's a soft melancholy in his eyes, the kind that only comes from understanding that life doesn't wait for anyone. Yet Jack's greatest strength is his calm. He reminds us that you don't have to fight every storm. Sometimes you just have to endure it and trust that it will pass. What makes Braving the Wilderness special is how it connects these stories. Amy's emotional rebirth, Lou's quiet breakdown. Jack's reflective stillness, they all blend together into something deeply human. This episode doesn't hand out solutions. It just shows that everyone is walking through their own wilderness. And that's okay. By the end, the emotional threads come together like the colors of a sunset over the ranch. Soft, warm, and unspoken. You can feel the love between these characters, not because they say it, because it's there in every glance, every word left unsaid. Heartland has always been about family, not the kind that's perfect, the kind that keeps trying, keeps showing up, even when it hurts. And that's what makes Braving the Wilderness unforgettable. It's not just another episode, it's a reflection of us all, because in some way we're all out there in our own wilderness, hoping to find our way home, and as the sun sinks behind the rolling hills of Hudson, the world of Heartland exhales softly, almost like a whisper. The fences cast long shadows, the horses rest, and for a moment, everything feels still. But beneath that stillness, there's movement, quiet, steady, and full of meaning. Because Braving the Wilderness isn't an ending, it's a beginning wrapped in silence. This episode leaves us with more than questions. It leaves us with reflection. We've seen Amy stand in the quiet corners of her own heart, facing the echoes of the past. We've watched Lou discover that strength isn't about holding everything together, but about knowing when to let go. And we've felt Jack's timeless wisdom ripple through every scene, a reminder that even when life changes, love remains. The wilderness in this story isn't the kind you can find on a map. It's the one we all carry, the moments of doubt, the days when we feel lost, the nights when we wonder if we'll ever find our way back to who we used to be. But Heartland reminds us that maybe the point isn't to go back. Maybe the wilderness exists to show us who we're meant to become. There's a quiet beauty in how this episode closes. No loud music, no dramatic cliffhanger, just the sound of wind, hooves, and breath. Amy standing by the fence, eyes on the horizon, with that familiar mix of hope and hurt. You can feel it, the promise that no matter how far the wilderness stretches, she'll keep walking. Because that's what Heartland is about, not perfection, not victory, but persistence. The courage to keep going, even when the path is uncertain. As the credits roll, you realize that braving the wilderness isn't just the story of these characters, it's the story of all of us. It's about loss and love, endings and beginnings, and the strength it takes to trust that life still has something beautiful waiting just beyond the trees. So, as the screen fades to black and the world of Heartland lingers in your mind, take a deep breath. Think about the moments that test your heart, the choices that scare you, the people who keep you grounded. That's your wilderness, and maybe, just maybe, it's leading you somewhere worth finding. If you've ever felt lost, if you've ever had to start over, if you've ever loved something enough to fight for it, this episode will speak to you. Heartland Season 19, Episode 4, Braving the Wilderness is more than a story. It's a mirror showing us that even in the wildest places, we're never truly alone. Catch this emotional journey only on CBC. Prepare to feel every heartbeat of Heartland once again. Because in this world, the wilderness isn't something to fear, it's something to face. And when we do, let's find out that the wild can lead us home.